Okay, so we will go ahead and get started. Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Connor McCann, and I'm the Associate Director of the Master of Management, Innovation, and Entrepreneurship, the MMI program here at Smith School of Business, and it's the program that we're here to discuss today. I'll be joined by Colin Snyder, who's the recruitment advisor for the MMI program. We have about an hour-long webinar planned for you all today. As far as an agenda, we want to begin by engaging in a bit of a Q&A, bit of an interview with an outgoing student, soon to be an alumni of the MMI program, Justin Andrews. And then Colin and I will guide the audience through just some more general information about the MMI program, talk about the curriculum, the structure, the types of students that we look for, the faculty members associated with the program, some of the resources and services available to students through both the Smith School of Business and the Smith Faculty of Engineering. And then towards the end of the presentation, Colin will guide everyone through the application process for the program, just to provide some color there and some detail for anyone on the call who might be interested in proceeding with an application to the program. We are currently actively recruiting for our next intake for the MMIE, which will be the class of 2027 that will start the program next May and then graduate in the spring of 2027, about a year later. The MMIE program traditionally has had its intake every August, but starting next year, the program will begin in May. So we have a relatively shortened recruitment cycle. So we're kind of eager to get out and host these webinars and start to engage with applicants and inquiries who might be interested in starting the program next May, which seems far away now, but it'll be here before we know it. Few matters of housekeeping. Anyone who registered for the webinar today will receive a video recording directly to their inbox, emailed to them, usually within a day or so of the webinar. So if you're on the call with us now and you can't stay through to the end, that's completely fine. We'll be sure that you receive that video recording within the next day or so. We do set up these webinars to be as interactive as possible. So if you have questions about any aspects of the program at any point over the course of the webinar, please do type those questions directly into the Q&A function. There should be a horizontal bar through your Zoom window, likely at the top or bottom of your screen, and there's a Q&A button on that bar. You click that, that opens the Q&A window, and you're able to type in any questions that you might have. Colin and I will try to save 10-15 minutes at the end of the webinar to go through that queue, a backlog of questions exhaustively, but we might be able to type out some answers to some of those questions over the course of the webinar. So it's always better just to type in your questions as you think of them so that we can get to them either in written or verbal format. We also want to provide the audience with the opportunity to engage directly with Justin Andrews. So if you have any questions for him, please do type those into the chat and I can take a look and ask those questions to Justin on your behalf. So speaking of Justin, I'm really happy to introduce him at this point. Justin is a member of the MMIE class of 2025. So he started the program in August of 2024. He just completed the program a few months ago. He's getting ready, I'm sure very excited for graduation here in Kingston in November. He launched his own business in the food sector here in Canada. I think he's going to talk a little bit more about that over the course of our interview. Justin, he's not a stranger to Kingston. He's originally from the Maritimes, from the East Coast, Halifax, but he did do a culinary diploma at St. Lawrence College, which is the big college located here in Kingston. And he sits on the advisory board for that culinary program at St. Lawrence College. So he's someone who spent a lot of time in Kingston as a student. So Justin, just as a starting point, maybe over and above the basic information that I have listed on the slide here, what's your life story? Like, give us your life story in like
Yeah,
2 or 3 minutes.
sure. So, life story. I was born in Halifax. When I graduated high school, I went to university right away. Thought I wanted to be a lawyer. Did 2 years of university studying sociology and philosophy. Dropped out, went to cooking school. Um, and then, yeah, graduated cooking school, worked in the food industry for about 6 years, did all kinds of stuff from working on farms, restaurants, traveling, catering. And then I went back to school to do my undergrad in sustainability at Dalhousie. And then towards the end of my sustainability degree, I started thinking about, what's my future going to look like? If you would have told me I would go into business like 2 or 3 years ago, I would have thought you're crazy. But it was actually a conference at Dalhousie hosted by the School of Management. Because Dalhousie doesn't have a huge business focus. Like they do have an MBA, but it's a very small cohort. Like they're more on the management side. And the dean said, management is how we make things real. So it doesn't matter if you're working for a nonprofit, government, business, you still need to know what you want to do and who you want to serve and what your budget's going to be and that whole system of management. I had that light bulb moment. It was like, oh, I need to do a master's of management. And then somehow the algorithm just like kept giving me the Facebook ad for the MMIE, like the colors behind Connor there, like that image kept showing up on my Facebook feed. And I'm like, oh my God, what is Queens like? How are you reading my mind? And all the keywording. I was like, did you make this ad just for me? Like, what's happening? So I came to one of these webinars myself and ended up applying to the program and got in.
I'll pass that feedback along to our marketing department. I know they put a lot of time and effort into targeting their ads and making sure that we have the right profiles and targeting dialed in for our direct messaging. So I'll let them know, Justin. Obviously, that's a success story for
They
the
did a good job.
for
Yeah.
the marketing department. Yeah, they had you pegged. So coming into the program, I think everyone always has a set of expectations, and Colin and I will talk about this in a few slides after the interview. The program is different things to different people. It can be leveraged in different ways depending on what an applicant's background is and really what their career goals are. So coming into the program, Justin, I'm just interested kind of what your expectations were, like how you would define success for yourself in the program at the onset, and then how those expectations track against the actual reality of what you got out of the program.
Right. Um, yeah, I think for me, it was I wanted to be around other people that were trying to do things, right? It was the collective journey. Like my expectation was to, embark on a journey with other students. I had done like a small business incubator before the masters, and years before that, I did like a 6 week business kind of boot camp. The formula of like how to run a business, like there's a million books out there, but my expectation was like joining a community. It was less about the degree. I really wanted to embark on this journey with a group of people, and I would say that expectation was met. I made some really amazing friends in the program. um and like some of the stories from the professors, like hearing their wild entrepreneurial stories, like Sherry, who is one of the founders of the program, like I'll let her share her story with you if you join, but it's wild, right? And it just shows you what's possible, right? And then when you're surrounded by 75, 85 people who all believe that doing crazy things is possible, you start truly believing that crazy things are possible, and then you can do them, right? And that's the groupthink that comes out of that. That if you were to just watch a TED Talk or read a business book, like you're not going to have that group experience.
Amazing, amazing. And I should let the audience know, Justin, that you did travel to Kingston last month and you spoke to the incoming cohort of the MMIE program related with the Creating New Ventures course, kind of one of the first courses that we launched. And you chatted more with that class about food web. So I'm just wondering if you could kind of tell the story of food web through the context of the program. Like what was food web? Was it just a seed of an idea coming into the program, and the
Right.
program helped provide you with the structure? Like how did the program help you get to where you currently are with food web?
Yeah, so just briefly, I'll just briefly say what FoodWeb is. So we're a digital platform that makes it easier for kitchens, like commercial kitchens, restaurants, cafes, to rent their space to other food businesses during their downtime. So it's kind of like Airbnb for kitchens. Um, I actually started FoodWeb a year before MMIE. I had applied to MMIE to be class of 2024, but then I got into a business accelerator at Dalhousie that overlapped the same time, so I deferred MMIE by a year. Um, for better or for worse, there were pros and cons. At times, some of the class content was perfect. Like the assignments we're working on were like, oh my God, I get to work on my marketing strategy for my real business. It's not a theoretical exercise. Whereas other classes was like, oh man, like I literally did this exact same exercise in my business incubator, and I wish I could be on sales calls right now, but I need to slog through this. So, um, There's pros and cons, but that all that said, being able to bounce ideas off and use the class material, it's certainly helped me really polish and refine a lot of my business stuff.
And you spoke about the value or one expectation or hope that you had for the program was to kind of tap into a network of like-minded individuals, innovators, entrepreneurs. Was that beneficial with regards to Food Web specifically? Like kind of being in a diverse cohort of students, being able to bounce ideas off of your classmates, is that
Yeah.
something that you actually derived tangible benefit from?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
And not even just with my classmates, but also with like the guest speakers that came
Yeah.
in. There was this one guest speaker who came in, was an alum from like 4 or 5 years ago. I really liked his energy. I messaged him on LinkedIn, was like, hey, I would love to chat with you. He introduced me to somebody in his network, who I ended up getting a grant to hire her for a small little project that I'm working on with my business. And there's also like Smith Connect that you get access to as students. And like the COO of Bank of Montreal is a Smith alum. And like we've been chatting on LinkedIn trying to find a time to just like grab a coffee. Like, like how else could you get access to somebody like the COO of Bank of Montreal? Like that's huge, but it's just like it's casual. It's just like, hey, we went to the same school. Like you want to have a coffee and just talk life and so and the program being so international, like totally cracked my world open, right? A lot of my friends that I met, were from Africa, various countries, but they're still living there. They just come for the boot camps and just having exposure to those stories and those worldviews is not something, and the fact that they still live there, right? Like if the program was full time in Canada and everybody had to relocate, it wouldn't be the same. You're not hearing their day-to-day stories in the other country because they're now adapting here. Like it's still, you're still exposed to the day-to-day of those. So it's been incredible, the people I've met along the way.
Incredible. Yeah. And I mean, we often talk about how important network is and joining this, amazing alumni network, but it's those types of anecdotes, like how students tangibly benefit from those connections, that's the most powerful thing. And I mean, in my career as a Smith alum myself, I'm always amazed by just how cold of a message I can send on LinkedIn. Like if I need to connect with someone, they could have graduated from the commerce program in the 80s, and I reach out and they see Smith on my LinkedIn account as as a fellow alumni, and they're always so quick to engage. And I've heard that feedback consistently across alumni for multiple of our programs. I know that Colin could support that as well. Smith Connect is a great platform, private version of LinkedIn that students and alumni can use to engage with each other. It's one thing to say that you have 30,000 people in your alumni network, but it's the willingness to engage. And I think a lot of that willingness to engage comes with the fact that, on balance, overall, we don't always get it 100% right. Students do enjoy their time at the business school and they value their time at the business school. So they're looking for ways to give back to the business school exactly as you're doing today, Justin, by taking time out of your day to kind of support this webinar. So I just wanted to add some color there for the audience's perspective. I have one last question kind of pre-canned for you, Justin, but I do want to remind the audience that they have the ability to type in any questions to you directly so we can get to those before we sign off. I like to kind of, play this bit of a mental game that if you could enter a time machine and go back to when you first started the program, is there a piece of advice that you would give yourself then that would allow you to maybe even get more value out of the program experience? Like what are things you can do to prepare to put yourself in the best position to maximize this program?
Totally. I would say like because the program goes fast, right? Like it's only a year and when you're on campus, like time flies, like the boot camps. And what I wish I did was as much as I like had fun just like hanging out with my peers at boot camps, like I wish I like wandered around campus a little bit more and actually explored all the other opportunities, like the amount of, like for example, like if you have an active startup, there's like two or more like student-run investment funds on campus where they do like large check, like hundreds of thousands of dollar investments, like a VC run by students. I missed the deadline for one to even apply to one of those just because I wasn't, paying attention. And there's various other just offices of all sorts that do all sorts of nifty programming, and I really wish I engaged with that stuff earlier. And um, during the first week, there was definitely like we were told about all the things, but you're just getting flooded with so much information, both content and resources, and here's how to get your gym membership. And I wish I had really sat down with my notebook and like wrote out a list of all of these opportunities so I could sit and say which ones were valuable. I just got sucked into the student experience and meeting my peers and engaging with the class material. But then you disappear for 3 months and then you come back for boot camp number two and then you get sucked in with all your friends. And so just to take that step back and actually say, like, I have this 1 year. What are all of these things at Queens that I can access and how to, milk every drop of resource, because you're paying for it. It's there. So I could have accessed more of those services and supports.
Yeah, it's a great piece of advice, and I think it's important for us as the leadership team of the program to practice what we preach. I mean, oftentimes in innovation entrepreneurship, we talk about this idea of continuous improvement and kind of listening to your user, soliciting feedback and then using that to make iterative improvements to your business. So we do our best to listen to our students and to make those changes. You'll be happy to know, Justin, that that bit of feedback was consistent across your
Mm.
cohort, your classmates, how there was just so much happening during the on-site sessions that you almost couldn't see the forest between the trees. So for the current cohort, we are doing our best to build in just more white space into those on-site sessions to give everyone, a time to go back to their room, decompress, review all the information that we're kind of hitting them with. And it feels like in a nonstop fashion over the delivery of those on-site sessions so that they can get more out of the experience of actually being on campus. They can go more broadly across Queen's University, across the community, different faculty to see where there might be opportunities for them to leverage. So that's something that's a change that we're trying to make to the program. I think it's easy to fall into the trap of over programming because it's like we only have these students for like 3.5 weeks in aggregate over the entire duration of the program. So we want to hit them with everything while we're here. But sometimes less is truly more when it comes to those on-site sessions. So that's feedback that we have heard and that we are in the process of trying to implement to a certain extent.
Nice. Cool.
Beautiful. Okay, Justin. So I think I told you we'd only take 20 minutes of your time, and we're coming up on that. I didn't see any questions here from the virtual audience. I do find that the audience members they get a little bit shy sometimes when faced with an alum. But would you be open to anyone maybe just connecting, reaching out to you directly over LinkedIn if anyone had any follow-up questions?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, if you have questions about the program, feel free to message me. And if you work in like the food industry in any adjacent way, like hit me up. Would love to chat as well.
Love it. Love it. Well, thanks again, Justin. Appreciate the time.
Okay, thanks.
Bye for now. Cheers.
Bye.
Okay, so over the next 20, 25 minutes or so, I'm going to guide you through just some more general information about the MMIE program, and then Colin's going to round that off by speaking to the application process in detail. So it's hard to distill the program, the curriculum, everything that we do in the program, all the value into 3 bullet points, but we did our very best to do that on this slide here. So what will you learn in the MMIE program at a very base level, we teach students how to lead innovation. So whether that innovation is through a startup or an entrepreneurial venture, whether it's corporate innovation, social innovation, we teach students how to actually go from idea to execution in some sort of innovative capacity. A part of innovation is analysis. So you might have an amazing idea, but then it turns out that that idea has already been executed by someone else, or that there might not be a market opportunity for that idea. So a big part of what we teach as well, over and above idea generation and thinking like innovators, is how to actually, through analysis, identify opportunities that are ripe and open for innovation. So that's another key component. And then once that idea is matched with a market opportunity through analysis, everything's been quantifiably proven. Then we provide students with the actual tangible skill set, the tool belt that you need to go from launch to scaling an innovative idea in some sort of market capacity. So that's the program in a nutshell. Um, I often say that it's tough to put innovators into buckets. They don't like being categorized and put into buckets, but that's what I'm trying to do on this slide here. But this is really just to convey the fact that the MMIE program pitches a very wide tent. So we're not just looking for entrepreneurs like Justin. There are other different categories of motivation that we see students come into the program with, and that who are able to successfully leverage the program to execute on those goals. So we do have the pure play entrepreneurs, the Justins of the world, people who come into the program wanting to start their own business. The program in that sense can be used as an incubator. We can help you go from 0 to 1. Or more like Justin, maybe you come in with a business that you've already started to some extent, and the program is more of an accelerator. So you come in at 1 and we help you magnify and go from there. So that's certainly one very legitimate kind of tried and true use case for the program, is that entrepreneurial track. We also have people who enter the program on the corporate innovation side. So they might work for a large, small, medium-sized organization, and they're really looking for opportunities to innovate within that space for that organization. So that's another major set of expectations that we see, or set of motivations that we see coming into the program. People who work for an organization and they're really looking to innovate more within the confines of an organizational structure. Justin touched on this a little bit, but we're also looking for adventurers. And I think maybe the risk with this slide is that we can make it appear that everyone who comes into the program knows exactly what they want to do. And that's not always the case. Oftentimes, maybe students come in with a clear expectation of what they want to get out of the program. They meet someone, they have a conversation, they take a course that inspires them, and they completely pivot. Or sometimes we have people who come in who they can't define what that thing is for them. They can't define their motivation, but they know that they are innovative at heart. They're always looking for opportunities to improve things, to work differently. They see opportunities to innovate within their professional, personal lives, and they're really just looking to join a cohort, a program of like-minded individuals, and then to figure out their pathway and to figure out their journey once they do enter into the program. So we do look for those adventurers, people who maybe don't have the most defined outcomes or defined metrics coming in to the program, but are willing to kind of bounce ideas off people and to create and innovate along the way. We also have people on the social innovation side. So, not all innovation is commercial innovation. There's lots of opportunities, whether it's in, the healthcare sector or indigenous rights, female rights. People come in with an area that they're passionate about, a social cause, a social area that they're passionate about, and they're able to leverage the program to enact positive societal change directed towards that area of interest. So that's another category of motivations that we see coming into the program. And then on top of this, you add the fact that the program is very much international. So we have students who enter domestically, but also students who enter the program internationally. I think in the current cohort of about 70 students, there's 17 different nationalities represented. So you have people who come in across these various buckets of motivation, but also from very different cultural, educational, and professional backgrounds. And to Justin's point, that's kind of the magic of the program, putting these like-minded individuals together, and their common thread is innovation, and they're passionate about doing things differently, but everything else is different. Their cultural, educational, professional backgrounds are different. So we create an environment where students learn a tremendous amount from each other, probably as much as they learn from the content and the faculty. They would learn from the aggregate experience of the diverse students within the class as well. Key success drivers for the MMIE program. We've already spoken about these kind of not directly, but just through the engagement with Justin. The program is customizable. So again, it's not everyone follows the same pathway within the program. We do have a structured set curriculum, so all students take the same curriculum in the same order. But because this program really sits at the intersection of practical skill development and theoretical underpinning, how students choose to apply the material, to apply the models, frameworks, theories that they're taught in the program, either through their assignments or to their careers, is completely changeable. So you might learn about a model in the Creating New Ventures class that is applicable to a social innovation, that's applicable to a corporate innovation, or that's applicable to a startup. So students have the ability to really curate their own experience within the program. Another great example of that would be the capstone project. So we do have a capstone that is really the focus of the final 4 months, the final third of the program. Students are expected to take all of what they've learned and apply it to their capstone project, which is individual. So that's a great opportunity for students to decide really what they want the focus of the program to be through their capstone. We've had students come in with a capstone project focused on their organization on the corporate innovation side. We've also had students like Justin who have used the capstone to work on and develop their own business or to help them just go from 0 to 1 with an idea that they have for a new organization coming into the program. Effective integration of theory and practice, that's really just this idea that the program does sit at the intersection of theoretical research and practical skill development. So this isn't a Master's of Science in Management. This isn't a PhD track program. It's much more akin to an MBA and how it's meant to be very practical. So we do have PhDs, tenured faculty members who teach on the program. They do research in these spaces and they pull insights from that research and deliver that to their students, but they always do it in a very practical way. So it's not mired in theory. It's about taking insights from theory and giving those tools to students in a way that they can then apply them to real industry settings. We also do have adjunct faculty members, so not all the faculty who teach on the MMIE program are all tenured researchers. We have other faculty members who teach and also work full-time across various industries and different professional roles and contexts. So with that dynamic, those adjunct faculties or members are constantly pulling in topical, real-world relevant examples of what's happening in their professional world and disseminating that information to their students. We do have a strong coaching model within the MMIA program. So on the career development side, we have the Career Advancement Center, the CAC, which among many other things has a staff of career coaches that partner with our students individually to help them first define their career goals and then put a plan in place, steps they can take to actually execute on those career goals. So there's coaching on the professional development side. When it comes to the capstone project, every student is assigned a capstone project advisor who would be really tailored to the needs of that student. So if there's someone in the program, a student who is focusing their capstone project on a corporate innovation, they'll be paired with a project advisor who has experience in that area. And the same can be said for social innovation and for entrepreneurship as well. So you do have someone there to bounce ideas off of and to really help guide you through the capstone project to get the most value out of that experience. The fourth point here is one that I've already spoken to. It's the diversity of the cohort. And it's one thing just to say we have 17 nationalities, we have, 20 different undergraduate degrees represented in a cohort of MMIE program. Like it's impressive to say that maybe from a marketing perspective, but to Justin's previous point, where the real value comes in that is being able to bounce your own ideas off of people who have different experiences than you and creating an environment where students learn from each other. That's really the true value of recruiting such diverse cohorts for the MMIE program. So Justin did mention some of the, resources that are available to MMIE students. The program is delivered in partnership between the Smith School of Business and the Smith School of Engineering, which means that students do have access to resources across both of those schools. So on the career development side, students do have access to the Smith Career Services, which are probably the most well-developed and valuable across the entire university. They also have access to resources at the Dunn Innovation Center, and then some additional resources that are available through the Smith School of Engineering. So again, we've done our best to create more white space during those 3 boot camp sessions so that students can actually walk around campus and maybe engage with some of these resources, some of these faculties, labs, schools, centers. And I think we did a field trip to the Innovation Center during just a lunch break that we had in August. So there is opportunity to kind of get a feel for campus and where these resources and services can be found and leveraged. And a lot of them are virtual as well. All the career resources that are available through the Career Advancement Center, the CAC, those can be delivered virtually. Some of these other resources and programming can only be delivered from campus, but a lot of these resources are available virtually as well. So if you're, someone who's not going to be in Kingston throughout the entire duration of the program, there's lots of opportunity to take advantage of these valuable resources in a virtual context. So it's difficult to, I would say, quantify the value of the MMIE program. Students go on to do so many different things with the degree and leverage it in so many different ways that it's tough to kind of distill it down to like an average salary. I mean, a lot of people start businesses and they might go 5, 6, 7, 8 years with all equity, no salary. So it's tough to kind of quantify the value of the program in an average salary, as you might be able to do more with MBA type programs. But just to give you a sense for how students are able to leverage this program and really the impact of the program, going back about 5 or 6 years, we have had over 130 startups launched directly out of the MMIE program. So these are ideas that were kind of incubated, developed, accelerated within the program. On the corporate innovation side, we've seen students secure, or alumni rather, secure over 100 promotions. So students are able to really position themselves as innovative leaders within their organization, and then there's career trajectory and career progression that comes as a result of that. And then when it comes to funding that students have secured for their businesses coming out of the program, again over the last 5 or 6 years, over $5 million in various funding has been achieved. So MMI students do get results across both or across the entrepreneurial, social innovation, and corporate innovation spheres. So the program format, the delivery model of the MMIE is unique, and it needs to be that way because we want the program to be flexible, and we want students to be able to really carve out their own learning journeys and their own value propositions from the program. It needs to be flexible in design. So we've landed on this hybrid delivery model. It's one that we've been working on, tinker tailoring, and hopefully perfecting over the last 10 years since the program was originally launched. It's a combination of these intensive in-person on-site sessions at Queen's main campus here in Kingston, Ontario. So we have a session to start off the program in May of next year. Our second on-site session will be in August of 2026 of next year. And then our third and final bootcamp session will be in March 2027. All the dates for those three bootcamp sessions have been finalized. They're available for review on the program website. So I'd certainly encourage anyone who's thinking about the May 2026 intake to take a look at those on-site session dates. They're not really negotiable. We need all students, whether they're international or domestic, to be on campus and to participate in those on-site sessions in a full-time in-person capacity. We deliver in-person lectures, so an opportunity to kind of network directly with your faculty members. We do a lot of breakout group activities. We, to Justin's point, want to show students around campus, give them a feel for Queen's campus and also downtown Kingston, where campus is located. We think it's important that anyone who's going to graduate with a professional master's degree from Queen's has the opportunity to get a feel and a sense for the Queen's community. It's a very proud university, so we're always very happy to show off our beautiful campus. And then we do some professional development activities, and we want to have fun as well. There's always social events that we run. We run our Fit to Lead program, which in the summer can be golf or paddling. In the winter, we do hockey games and skating. So there's always a lot of fun that we want to have during those on-site sessions as well. When we're not in one of those three on-site sessions, the program becomes virtual and to a large extent asynchronous. We have to be cognizant of the fact that between those on-site sessions, some international students will return back to their home countries around the world. So we do need to have a flexible delivery model that allows students to learn, but learn remotely from very different time zones. We do run live virtual lectures through Zoom between the three bootcamp sessions, but those are always recorded so that students can kind of watch the recordings afterwards if they're not really in a time zone that permits them to participate live. And then we have access to the Smith One online platform, which is really the hub for the virtual delivery aspect of the program. Single sign-on, students can navigate to all the different tools, classes, resources that they need to be successful within the program. Of course, there's still structure and there are still importantly deadlines. Like you need to have, your group and individual assignments submitted by a certain date. So there's a limit to the flexibility. But we do our best to create an environment where students can kind of learn according to their own schedule. We have some students who work full time, some students who work maybe part time, other students who would maybe take the year off to focus on the program exclusively. So we really design the program to kind of meet students where they're at. So I think that's enough out of me with regards to the program. If you are interested in learning more about the program, we have testimonials, more information about the on-site session, a detailed schedule, all on the program website. So please do spend some time there. But at this point, I will pass it over to Colin to chat about the application process.
Thanks, Connor. Happy to do so. So, yeah, again, my name is Colin Snyder. I'm a recruitment advisor at Smith within our suite of professional graduate programs. MMIE is one program that I'm very happy to support quite closely. But on the screen, you'll see Beth McCallum. She's our application advisor. So she's our dedicated application advisor to the MMIE program. She's been working on the program for a few years now, very well versed with the students like Justin who've taken the program, as well as what anecdotally, I'd say what makes up a really successful MMIE student. So her role as an application advisor is really to be in your corner, being able to provide you with some feedback on things like your eligibility, but throughout that application process, giving you some feedback into what to include, maybe in the statement of purpose, how to structure it. If you have any questions, she's also just there to be a resource for you. So in terms of process of application, it's kind of broken out into two phases you'll see on the screen and then interview. So the first is a preliminary assessment. That's primarily predicated around the admissions requirements of the program. So MMIE itself requires a completed bachelor's level degree. As Connor mentioned, we have many different disciplines represented in the program. It does not have to be a business degree, but it does have to be a completed bachelor's level degree. Outside of that, the professional experience required, there's no specificity in the amount of experience. It is a very diverse cohort of students. Ideally, within that professional experience, there's some positive alignment with MMIE. Now, Connor mentioned four really kind of key I guess areas of interest. If we're to categorize that, there's probably a few others that we could extend that to. So it's not a one size fits all. But Beth would be able to help with that preliminary assessment in terms of eligibility and kind of how she would envision someone being successful in the program. When we get into the post assessment, I think that's really getting into the other pieces of application. So that would be really great opportunities, in my view anyway, really great opportunities for prospective students to kind of outline their interest in the program, how they manage team settings, how they problem solve, how they plan on using MMIE in their career, and that would include the statement of purpose, the video essay, and then references obviously can also speak to that. And then from there, obviously, as long as we're successful in moving through that application process, you would interview, typically with Connor, again, our associate director of the program, who's been talking this whole time to this point. The interview itself, I think, is, I would say, fairly conversational, again, to really understand how your goals align with the program so that we ensure that you're successful within it. So if you have any questions about that application process, or you'd like to better understand your eligibility, Beth, her email is there. She'd be glad to be a resource. I'm happy to be a resource as well. But yeah, so that's kind of her role as an application advisor. I touched on those requirements a little bit, so just having them up here on the screen. Again, professional experience. It doesn't have to be uh, anything. Again, if we look at the class cohort, we'll have some people coming to the program with very minimal professional experience. Maybe they're only a few months removed from completing their undergraduate degree. Typically, in those cases, those individuals have a pretty strong use case for the program, or maybe have been a part of an accelerator program or incubator during their undergraduate degree. On the flip side, we'll also have individuals fairly senior in their career who are looking to maybe formalize a side hustle. Maybe they're looking to shift their career a little bit. Talked on the education already a little bit. Ideally, obviously, strong performance in your undergraduate degree. It doesn't have to be any specific discipline. Beth can get into those details in that preliminary assessment when she reviews your transcript. And then again, as I mentioned, just having some alignment with innovation or entrepreneurship broadly is great. Outside of the, I guess, hard and fast requirements, when we get into like soft skills of the qualities of what makes a great student for MMIE and also just broadly at Smith, team is a huge piece of what makes our programs really successful. It's also a huge focus of our programming is being a part of a team and being a part of a very successful class cohort. So having really strong communication skills, being passionate, being able to manage diversity in a classroom and in a team environment is definitely something that's important to what makes our students successful. And I think a lot of pieces of that application process would afford an opportunity for an individual to kind of elaborate on their fit in terms of those skills.
So that does wrap up, and thanks for that call. And that wraps up the formal presentation portion of our webinar today. As Colin mentioned, there's lots of different ways to get in touch with us. So whether you email Beth, you can reach out to Colin or myself directly over LinkedIn, and we'll be sure to include our email addresses in the follow-up to this webinar as well. If you scan this QR code, that will bring you to a page that you can just give some preliminary information, name, email address, and then one of our recruitment team members will follow up with you directly. So if you are interested in kind of receiving a reach out and setting up a call with one of our recruitment advisors, please do scan this code and fill out the information on the webpage. I don't see any questions in the queue. I will give everyone maybe a moment or two to type in any questions that they would like addressed before we wrap up this webinar. Something that I did want to add to what Colin had to say is just the importance, or really our advice, of not self-selecting out of the process. So if you like what you heard in this webinar, if you think you could be a good fit for the MMIE program, at the very least, please do reach out and engage with us. We've had applicants in the past who might feel a little bit self-conscious about the grades that they got during their undergraduate degree. They might feel like they don't have enough work experience. We do have very impressive alumni for the program, so some students might feel like they pale in comparison to some of the amazing alumni and students that we get in the program. Don't make that determination for yourself. At the very least, reach out to us, reach out to Beth, have her conduct that preliminary assessment. If we ultimately determine that you're not the right fit for the program now, we can give you steps, like some action items that you can take over the next 2 or 3 years to put yourself in a position to qualify for a future intake of the program. The MMIE isn't going anywhere. We will continue to have one intake every May, well into the future. So it might not be a matter of whether you're the right fit for the program. You might not be the right fit for the program now, and there might be some things you can do to bolster your application profile over the short term. And Beth is always very happy to give that very targeted, specific feedback. Maybe there's another program within our portfolio that you're better suited to. All of our recruitment and application advisors are incredibly well versed in all the professional graduate programs that we have within our portfolio. It's not uncommon for someone to come in inquiring about one program or even applying for one program and then realizing through dialogue with their application or recruitment advisor that they're actually better suited for something else completely. We see that those pivots with a great degree of consistency. So another reason just to reach out. It's free to reach out. It's free to engage, whether you schedule a call with Colin or Beth, or reach out to me on LinkedIn. We're always that's our job. We're here and happy to support people when it comes to really defining what they want to do with their career and what program is best suited to those needs. So I just wanted to kind of leave everyone with that message. I don't see any questions in the queue, which is usually means one of two things, Colin. Either we did such an amazing job with this webinar that we've covered everything completely 100% comprehensive, there's no questions, or we were completely confusing and no one really knows what we're talking about enough to even formulate a question. So hopefully it's the former.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so with no questions in the queue, we will give everyone a little bit of time back here. So all the channels for engagement. We will follow up within the next day or so to provide the recording of the webinar. And that's a great opportunity for you to kind of reply to that email, reach out to us, engage. We hope to hear from many of you going forward. But to all of you, we just want to thank you again for taking the time out of your day to hang out with us for 45 minutes here. So thanks again to you, Colin. Thanks to Kit, our background Zoom support, and thanks to the audience members for hanging on to the very end here. So bye for now.